Day 4 and 5 of the 7-day summer slim down have been a blur for me. Day 4, we had a big birthday at our house, and I was a little bit nervous about it because I knew we were going to go out to dinner, so I kind of compacted my hours of eating even more. I ate a little less during the day because I knew we were going to have the dinner out, which I was really nervous about. But I ended up having sparkling water, and I ended up sharing a salad with my husband, which was awesome. So when I came home, I had a little bit of a stomachache because I think it had a lot of sodium in it. So I tried to hydrate, doing some warm water, and then Jay and I went on a nice long walk, so I think that helped. But when I woke up this morning, day 5, I did have a little bit of a tummy ache, but since I didn't have to get all gussied up and go to work, I was able to just get up, do my meditation and my breath work. I spent a little extra time doing the gut smash. I did a little jog, I did a little toning, I did a little weightlifting, I did a little stretching, I did a little sauna, and then it was fingernail day, which was awesome. And then I met Joe, we had a little girlfriend time. We ended up sharing some beautiful hummus. And then I wanted to do this video talking a little bit more about inflammation. And you've heard me say that I set it up to lower the level of inflammation in the body, but what exactly is inflammation? It is the body's protection mechanism and a response to things like illness and toxins and stress, and it can be really helpful, like in the case if you break a bone or you have a sprain or a strain, the body sends that inflammation as a means of protection. But what is a really big bummer, and I know firsthand, is when the body gets overstimulated and just reacts in an inflamed way at the slightest provocation. And so we're going to talk today about other ways that you can lower the level of inflammation. And if you think about it, inflammation means inner flame. So how do we put those inner flames out? So let's get right into what we need to do. Part of it, we are already doing it in what we're eating, which is we're adding foods that lower the level of inflammation. And those are things like the fatty fishes, like salmon is excellent, all berries, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, some nuts like walnuts, pecans, pistachios, sunflower seeds, all nuts except for peanuts because they're not really a nut, they're a bean, and they a lot of times carry a lot of mold, so they're not that great for the body. And then also things like leafy greens, healthy oils, dark chocolate. So we're adding those things in, and then we're cutting out obviously things that are like packaged foods, anything that can stay on a shelf for a sustained period of time. Like if you cut an apple and you set it on a shelf, and you take a Twinkie and you set it on a shelf, you can tell which one is gonna lower the level of inflammation and which one would probably not be the best. So things that have casein in it, you know, things like lunch meat, all of the aspartame, the blue, the pink, and the yellow, those are very inflammatory. Anything that's deep fried, gluten, so anything that has trans fats in it, those things are going to really add inflammation to the body, and that's why we've really lowered the amounts of those things that we're eating during the 7 days. So now I want to talk about a couple other things that we've touched on maybe just a little bit. Sleep is really important, and you realize how important it is when you can't do it. But they say, and research has shown, that just by missing out on a good night's sleep for one night equates to tissue damage. And you know, like when you don't get a good night's sleep, you wake up and your eyes are puffy and your hands are swollen and your feet are swollen. So sleep is really important. And you know, the way God ordained it is every 3 days we're supposed to get 24 hours or thereabouts, you know, 7 to 8 hours a night. So every 3 days we're sleeping 24 hours. So it's really important because seeing and using all of the senses takes a tremendous amount of energy from the body. So by closing your eyes and, lowering the level of thought and letting the body get into deep sleep is so restorative. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is stress management. Now, the times that we live in, and I'm sure it's always been this way throughout antiquity, you can't totally get rid of stress, but stress management is really important. And that's why we've done things like the mindfulness breathing and doing the long sustained moderate exercise, like as in walking, the nitric oxide workout, the gut smash, which mechanically causes the body to relax. We're focusing on wholeness, that's really important. Mindfulness, like having an intent of when you're sitting down to eat, be intentional about it instead of, I do use the word scarfing a lot, and I just felt like my heart squeezed a little bit. What I really like to do and I try to do is, put my food on a nice plate and use a cloth napkin and put my drink in a pretty glass, and those kind of things really help the stress level in the body. And then getting out in nature. So when I was really sick, I just had this feeling that I wasn't going to make it. I had that open sore on the end of my nose, and I was in the emergency room 6 times in a year. I was having trouble with anaphylaxis. I was kind of obsessed with watching near-death experiences off of YouTube, and it was interesting. I bet I watched over 200, and many of them, people who had died and come back, they were told when they came back that they needed to get out in nature and put their feet in the grass. And we're made up of the dust of the ground, and there is a whole science behind grounding and putting your feet in the grass and what it does. When we sit in front of our smartphones and our computers and the television, we receive so many positive ions, and when we go outside and we put our feet in the grass, or we listen to the birds sing or the crickets or whatever it is, it doesn't take that long, but we get all the negative ions to kind of balance, our technology-laden lives. So those are just 2 things. The third thing that I want to mention, which I already know that you're doing, is staying hydrated. If you think about it, if you had a fire in your house, yes, if you had a fire extinguisher, you would put on it, but most likely you would throw water on it. So staying hydrated is really important. And after your first evacuation of the day, your urine should continue to lighten up, and it should be the color of tap water as you go along throughout the day. But remember, we said that you take your weight divided by 2, that equals the number of ounces. So if you weighed 160 pounds, that would be 80 ounces. And then you'll want to increase that if you're drinking caffeine or you're exercising. So last but not least, I want to give you a little hack that I use when I'm feeling really tired, or if I have feeling a little bloated. I do a hot and cold water foot soak in a very fast fashion. So let's get into that. Hot and cold water foot soak is easy peasy way to lower the inflammation to the body, because in your feet you have so many nerve endings. It's a great way without having to fully immerse the body in hot and cold water. But you always want to consult your physician before you try something like this, and it's not recommended if you have diabetes or you're pregnant. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be soaking our feet in hot water, and it should be, really hot to where, it's not going to burn your feet, but it's about as hot as you can take it. And then what that does is that causes the blood flow to rush down to the feet, and it'll cause your feet to kind of expand, but you're going to bring blood flow, which means you're going to bring nutrients and oxygen. And so we're going to do that for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to soak our feet in really cold water, as cold as you possibly can take it, for a minute. And a lot of times you'll hear about athletes who take ice baths. It's because it causes vasoconstriction. It causes the blood vessels to constrict, which causes the blood to flee, which will lower the inflammation. And so that's really excellent. And then we'll go back to the hot water. When you do that again, then the blood rushes back into all those nerve endings, bringing the blood back in. We do it for 3 minutes. Then we go to the cold water and it goes back out. It hightails it back out of there, and it constricts the blood vessels and it lowers the inflammation. So ultimately, we're gonna go 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold, and we'll do that 3 to 5 times. And you'll be amazed. It will really make you feel invigorated. If you're having a tired moment and, you know, like you need to just kind of wake up, it's good for that. It also will really help you relax, but you don't want to end on hot water. You would want to end on lukewarm water because we don't want that inflammation to stay there. And it would be a really good time to do a leg drain after that if you have the time. But the easy peasy way that I do it is I sit on the side of my tub and I just run hot water. You know, I kind of close the drain and I keep my feet immersed under the flow of water as hot as I can take it, and for 3 minutes. And I just sit there listening to some nice music. I set a little timer on my iPad, and then I switch it to as cold of water as I possibly can. If I have the energy, I'll get a bag of ice from Quick Trip and pour that in there when I'm doing the ice part of it, and then just shush it out of the way on the hot part. But so we will do that 3 times, 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold, 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold, 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold. If you could do it 5, that would be optimal. And then you'll want to end on lukewarm water for a little bit, and then just get some nice body oil, put some essential oils in it, or if you already have one mixed up, and just give yourself a little foot massage and then do a leg drain. And it really is a hack because you have so many nerve endings in the feet that by doing the cold and the hot, you're really stimulating those nerve endings that go up the entire body. So I hope you find this helpful. We have 2 days left. If you'll notice on the exercise and the menu, we're compacting what we're eating. It's a little more liquid and broth than it is eating, and it's a little bit longer of the walking. And the reason being is we have 2 more days, and so we're really trying to, you know, cause the body to do the detoxing. And then on day 7, I'm gonna talk about some aftercare, and I was thinking about doing maybe a Zoom call for questions and answers for those of you who wanted to talk about like what I would recommend doing next. So if you're interested in that, send me a message. But until day 6, have a good one.